and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Sophie and I'm the founder of Agnes Studio. In today's video I'm going to be making a piece that I've actually wanted to make since last winter, and I'm going to be making a shirt jacket or a shacket, which I saw everywhere last winter, and again I'm seeing lots of people wearing them again. So I thought this would be a good upcycling project because I can literally just turn an old blanket into it. Hopefully that's my plan. So I bought this blanket on eBay last year and it is absolutely massive. I will double check the measurements and pop them in the description box below for you, so if you try to make this you'll know how much you need. But I really like this mint colour. It's not the softest blanket in the world. Hopefully it should be fairly straightforward. I think I'm going to use either an old shirt that I like the fit of and maybe a jacket pattern that I've got and kind of work the two together to make the pattern for it. Pop some pictures here of the look that I'm going for. I want that kind of oversized shirt look, and really this is just a more sustainable way of making it rather than buying from a high street brand, because this blanket already existed. I believe this blanket is wool and I wouldn't have wanted to buy like new woolen fabric or a new woolen jacket, so that's just a workaround that I don't have to buy polyester, but I'm not still directly supporting the wool industry. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it ends up being fairly easy to follow if you want to create something like this yourself. Be sure to give it a thumbs up if you do enjoy it. Enough of me rambling on, and let's get into it, and I'll start figuring out how I'm going to make the pattern, and hopefully I have enough fabric. Let's get on with it, and this blanket can stop sitting in my cupboard until next winter. I'm going to use this shirt as a base for the pattern, but I probably want it to be a little bit bigger. I mean, definitely in the arms I want it to be bigger, but I'll use this for the base of the body pattern. I'm just going to use one side of this shirt, as obviously the pattern will be a mirror image. So if I get one side right, then in theory both sides will be right. So I'm just trying to get this edge straight, and then what I want to do is trace round the other edges and use this as my basic starting point. So I think I'm going to pin down just a couple of points, trying to keep it as flat as possible, and things that should be like a straight edge straight. I'm going to take it down a little bit longer than it currently is, just because it's a jacket, and I like it to be a little bit longer. And this already has a curved edge, but I think I want it to be slightly more curved. Just go in here and mark that that's where the armhole currently sits. So if I take that off, then I can start to create the front shape. I also remember that whatever I do to the front, I'm going to need to do to the back so they match up. But I don't want it to be so narrow across here, I want it to be wider across here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this seam and drop this seam. I think because I'm not going to twirl, I will try this back on at several points to see how the fit is. Hopefully that'll give me more of that dropped armhole shape, nice curved hem up to that point. So I'm going to measure, do you know what, I think I'm going to add 1.5 centimetres seam allowance onto this, just in case there's any mistakes, then I hopefully can correct them fairly easily. Okay, so that's my front panel pattern piece done, and I'll now go on to do the back. Okay, so I think I'm going to follow this jacket and do a yoke on the back as well. That's where you have this panel here, that's called a yoke. I'm going to trace that off first, and then I'm going to figure out the best way to trace the bottom panel off, and then I'll do probably a box pleat in the centre back like this one is. So what I'm going to do now to work out where the centre back is, I'm just going to take this measurement and half it. Now I'm just doing the bottom part of the back panel. again, which will be cut on the fold if I have enough fabric. If I don't have enough fabric, like the fabric's not wide enough, then what I'll have to do is just do a seam down the back here to join those two pieces together. So the length of my side seam here is going to be decided by the side seam on my front panel because they are going to match up together. Then the width also, I should add the same amount into the width that I added into the front. So 28, that is currently my midpoint of my centre back. So then I've added on another 5, so I'll have a 10cm increase for my box pleat. There we go, so that gives me that curve at the bottom of the hem. And then I'm going to add 1.5cm seam allowance all the way around again, except to the centre back. And I'm going to write, before I do anything else, like cuffs or sleeves or collars or anything, I'm actually just going to cut out the front and back and sew them together and try them on and see how the fit is. Okay, so I tried to lay my fabric as flat as possible. Because it's quite a heavy fabric, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place weighted things on it rather than try and pin through all the layers. Okay, so I'm going to start off by doing the box pleat in the back. So, and then find the centre. That's what a box pleat looks like. So I'm going to stitch the pleat down before I sew it onto the back yoke. Then I'm going to sew the back yoke onto the top with a 1.5cm seam allowance. And then I'll sew the front on as well. Okay, so quick try on before doing the rest. And it is very baggy and oversized, but I don't think I'll mind that because I'm probably going to wear jumpers and stuff underneath it. So now I need to finish the sleeves, finish the collar and the collar stand and the cuffs as well. And I'm going to put some pockets on it. I'm going to get on and do the pattern for the remaining pieces and then cut them out and sew them on. So what I've decided to do to finish my seams, because this fabric doesn't really fray, I've just trimmed the underneath seam allowance and then laid the seam allowance flat to the back and twin needle stitched. And I'm going to do that on all my seams, I think. So I'll show you, for example, with my yoke, back yoke seam, because I'm going to stitch up towards my yoke. Then I'll trim this side of the seam that is attached to the yoke in half, and then I'll go back and I'll top stitch, do twin needle top stitching from the outside. Folded the collar in half and I'm just sewing the sides down. And the collar, I'm going to do the same, and the cuff even, sew the short sides together. So I'm just trimming some of this seam allowance down now to reduce the bulk. I'm just going to pin the sleeve in now and see if it actually fits. It's going to have to because I've got no more fabric. The jacket would become a gilet. Yes, 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 yes. Right, that's looking good. So I think I'm going to do a little smaller pocket up the top, a little breast pocket, and then I'm going to do some larger pockets down the bottom. So this one, I'm just going to finish the top of it off by folding it over about 1.5 centimetres. And then I'm going to fold the edges in and stitch 1 centimetre in. I can stitch it onto my garment closer to the edge. And let's do the hem, and then I can decide where to put the other pocket. I think for the hem, because it's curved, what I'm going to do is just fold it over once and stitch it, and hopefully that'll be a neat enough finish. So now I've hemmed up the jacket, I can sew on the plackets. And then I'm going to tuck all the seams in to the placket. Maybe trim these down a little bit just so I've got less bulk there. And then stay stitch. And I just need to figure out how I'm finishing the top. So let's just sew the other side on first actually. So for this collar I did use my Merchant & Mills Otterline jacket pattern because I measured the Otterline pattern against my pattern and the measurements were basically the same. So rather than redrafting a whole new collar, I just used that one. So I'm going to bag that out on top there before sewing the collar on. Turn that through. And then I will tuck all that in and stitch that back, and then I'll probably top stitch this. Okay, so I've sink stitched the other side and actually caught more of it, so that side went significantly better than the last, and I'm just going to top stitch around this placket. I think I might have actually bent my needle, so we'll see how this goes. Yeah, that did not sound good. Okay, let's just try stitching down this edge and see how that goes. Okay, so time to stitch the collar on. Okay, so that's one side of the collar on. Let's just check it for pins. There's a sneaky pin. Let's do this placket. I'm going to fold everything in and attempt to do a somewhat neat sink stitch. I've missed a tiny bit just along there, but other than that I seem to have caught most of it. So what I want to do now is pick up this line of top stitching and top stitch this whole thing around the outside like I did with the cuff, which should hopefully flatten it down a bit. Since I'm waiting for more needles to be delivered, I thought I'd give you a quick update on where I'm at with the jacket. It is absolutely massive if you see these big old sleeves, but I don't really mind that because it's going to be like a cozy winter piece. I'm going to put a jumper on underneath it, and like if I'm just wearing leggings or whatever, like got a lot of coverage. So yeah, the sleeves are absolutely huge, and I am going to button them, but they're still going to probably be about that big unless I go back. But now I've done all my top stitching, I don't really want to go back and unpick them and make them narrower. And I need to sew the collar down, so I will fold this edge over and then stitch up in this groove here. Done 2 rows of top stitching on most of my seams. Yeah, done 2 rows. I've got a little breast pocket here, which I think should be big enough to fit my phone in. And I'm going to use these buttons. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'll probably recognise these buttons because I use them on both my Otterline coats. I really like them. They're like a fake bone look, and I just think they go quite nicely with it. Excuse my chipped nails. Oh yeah, I need to finish the top stitching on this side. So I will add buttons. So this can be buttoned up. I've ordered more of these, so they will be arriving soon. I'm going to put buttons on the cuffs, buttons on the front, and I've also cut out 2 pockets, which I think I'm going to put like here from where the edge of the blanket had been finished with just like a blanket stitch. I think I'm going to leave the top edge as that. So I just stitch around the outside to stitch these on. So that'll be nice big pockets to put my hands in the winter when it's cold. It's going to be like this, snuggled up in a big old blanket. I am just waiting for more needles to come, and then I'm going to get on and finish sewing it. So don't actually think pockets, collar, top stitching, buttons and buttonholes. There's not actually that much more to do. So hopefully I can finish this soon and get this video out to you. Okay, so I keep trying to stitch this side down, but it keeps breaking my needle. So I think I'm going to give up for now on that side. I want to stitch the collar down, but I'm thinking that that might snap my needle as well, or might be really fiddly. But first of all, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch 1 centimetre just on the open bit, just so I kind of have a guide as to where to go from, so I know how far to turn it up. Okay, so now I'm going to sew the buttonholes. So I'm going to use my buttonhole foot, and I think I'm just going to use the full width of this because the fabric is so thick. Okay, so time to do the buttonhole on the sleeve. So I'm going to start with the number 1 setting on my machine. I have finished the jacket. So after sitting in my cupboard for a whole year, this blanket has finally been turned into a jacket, and I'm really happy with it. It is absolutely massive. As you can see, it is super oversized, but I really don't mind that because it means that I can layer thick jumpers underneath it in the winter and I can be super snug. So I really like these buttons on it. I think that this could be a little bit neater, but because the fabric's so thick, I was having slight difficulty working with it at times. So I might just go back in and hand stitch that, and actually I might try and give it a press on a low heat as well and see if that improves it. Other than that, I really like it. Probably if I went back and were to use the same pattern to make another one, I'd probably make it slightly smaller because I do kind of look like I'm going to fly away. But other than that, I love it and I can't wait to wear it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful. If you attempt anything like this, let me know in the comments, as I would love to see what you're making. And if you have any tips or tricks, or if you have anything, suggestions of what else you'd like me to try, let me know. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you never miss another video like this. I will be back very soon, also really satisfied with how well my nails match this jacket. I will be back very soon with another video, so stay tuned, and yes, I will see you very soon. Bye bye.